Welcome to She Said podcast. All right, so we took a week off because life has been busy. So we started a new job, and so we've been trying to work around that schedule along with me starting a new business. So here we are back this week.
Back at it.
Yeah, this week we're not going to talk much about what's been going on. We'll probably hit that more next week when we can finish processing and going into more detail of everything that's going on. But I do want to put it out there that I think that it's very sad, and I have so much grief for his family and for everything that has happened, and we will, I wish there's more that we could do for them. But we'll get into that kind of stuff next week. Maybe this week will be heavy enough as it is with today's topic of
what we're talking about.
Yeah, what we're talking about. So let's get to the drama. Would you like to? Well, which one would you like to start with?
We can start with the cousins.
The cousins. Okay.
The cousins.
So, obviously every family has drama, has those ones that you just generally you tolerate, even if you have a difference of opinion and stuff, you usually find some common ground and
coexist
and coexist for family events, and even for kids, so that they can still have relationships and things like that. Unfortunately, in this family, that has not been the case.
Didn't work out
at all. So we'll start with cousins. So I have a cousin. I technically have two, but this one in particular,
we're gonna name her Allison.
Yeah, we'll call her Allison, and her husband is gonna be Mark. Allison and Mark have been married for a few years now.
3?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Allison has a daughter that she had from a previous marriage, that, in her opinion, was just completely his fault, and that's why it ended, and all of these things, and she never had a part in it.
Although he did do some messed up stuff.
He did. Yeah. He did some messed up stuff. Alcohol was a big issue, and that definitely played a part. But I think her, in what I would describe as narcissistic tendencies, from her side, I think also played a part. But even then, I supported her with her new boyfriend at the time, even though them getting together had a weird timeline. You know what? Not my circus, not my monkey. So supported them. Didn't actually get to be there for the wedding because I moved to another state. And we communicated and stuff after I moved, up until I decided that I was getting married. And apparently this was just life altering for other people. Right?
World shaking.
I just unfathomable.
Right.
Granted, I had been single or unmarried for 8 years. So, and I had always said, I'll never get married again. I'll never tie myself to a person by paper. Right? But obviously you should never say never. You should never say never. And I know people say that and stuff all the time, but legit, never say never. But so I didn't hear from her for a while, couldn't get a hold of her, text her husband Mark and was like, hey, is everything okay? I can't get a hold of anyone. Nothing. And then come to find out, Allison and my best friend at the time, who we're going to call Sandra, were apparently talking about everything going on behind my back. And I can look at it now objectively. Back then it was hurtful, right? Because I had been friends with this person for 13 years, and I had known my cousin for, I don't know, like 30 plus years,
Your whole
obviously,
life.
like my entire life. And me getting married was just like the straw that broke the camel's back. Holy freaking shit, man.
Right.
And so we went our separate ways. There was a lot more to it, a lot more drama, and let me tell you, I could spend all day on this story. Um, but eventually, before I ever even got married, within like a 2 month period, I quit talking to my cousin and my best friend at the time, because I was like, listen, like, I'm not going to live half a life. Like, I'm not going to be able to not tell you what's going on in my marriage or how things are
Yeah,
developing, or
because she was like, if you don't have a relationship with me, I don't want to hear about
right,
that.
like, oh, I'm sorry, do I tell you you can't talk about your husband to me, or your kids or anything like that? No, no, I don't do that.
Right.
So then also, shortly after I got married, I quit talking to my best friend because I pretty much gave her an ultimatum. I was like, listen, like, if I was anything other than getting married, if I was a nun, or whatever, this wouldn't be a problem. But because I'm getting married, because my perspective or my opinion or my decision has changed, that then, and the fact that I was going to allow my new husband to adopt my children. And that was a big point of contention. Because at one point in time, I was going to allow her to adopt my children. And I'm really, really, really glad that I never did that, because
We would have thrown
the
hands.
difference in how we were as people is something that I used to appreciate. But I think those differences, because at one point in time before I moved states, we lived together. And I realize now that those differences were too great to trust that person to raise my children if something was to happen to me.
Especially because she didn't have kids of her own.
Yeah, and she
Never planned to either.
she never wanted her own kids, which, to each their own, whatever. Um I love my kids. I wouldn't trade them for the world, but kids aren't for everyone. Not everybody has a maternal instinct, which we'll get to with my sister Cherry here in a little bit. Um yeah. And so we we're not talking, right? Um, I'm no longer friends with Sandra and her boyfriend Corbin. Um,
Oh, I love these names.
yeah. So, which is fine. I haven't talked to them in like 2.5, 3-ish years, something like that.
Uh,
20, what was it, 2023?
the last time I talked to her was last year, I think. Because we talked on the phone. Yeah, it was last year.
I don't know.
I think it was early last year.
Not for me. I quit talking to both of them in 2023, the year I got married.
I don't know.
So, but then this year, okay, I believe in God. I have a relationship with Him, right? I've always been kind of like
Private?
it's private about it.
Yeah.
Like it's mine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that I need to share it with the world, but for the most part, it was mine and mine alone. Well, I felt led to send my cousin Allison a song, and it was a song that I had listened to when our grandmother died before I moved, and I just felt like I needed to send it to her. Well, it was not well received, because apparently my cousin at this point has lost her ever loving mind. Lost it.
Gone. Trash
can. She does this some version of no non-coercive cooperative parenting, which
like your child's best friend.
I haven't done a whole lot of research on it, but from the way it's portrayed, the way she portrays it, her kids have no rules, no boundaries. They choose whether or not they shower. They choose whether or not they go to school. They choose whether or not they eat healthy or brush their teeth or basic hygienic choices.
Or curse at 10.
Or curse at 10, or dress provocatively, or her 14-year-old stepdaughter was vaping, and apparently that was perfectly okay. And listen, everybody chooses how they parent. I could not find anything positive about this style of parenting. Okay. But back to, I sent her this song. Well, she didn't like it and said I was using my faith as a excuse or whatever, and accused me of some really unsavory things, right? And I want to get into that because to me that was a private thing and should have never been spewed all over the internet.
Past.
Well, we're less than a year apart. We were both very young, and she took it to a public platform and accused me of some very inappropriate things. And it's not the way that it went down. It's not the way that she tried to make it sound. But I wasn't going to sit there and try and defend myself either, because then that was just playing into her twisted little hand and feeding her ego.
Yeah, but I should have said something. Ooh, I should have commented on it. I should have said something. I should have flown down there, thrown hands.
It wouldn't have solved anything. It wouldn't have made anything better. It wouldn't have changed her mind. And then...
Oh, I'm not trying to change her mind.
Well, it wouldn't have changed her...
She just needs to understand who to talk about, who not to talk about.
Well, we all have freedom of speech, so she's welcome to talk about me if that's what she wants to do. But it could end up bordering on harassment. But she was looking for something else to draw attention and to get sympathy and play the victim, like she always does.
Yeah.
And so now, with her and her husband being married, they have sold their house, like sold everything they owned.
Sold, I think, one car.
I think
they had a truck and an SUV.
I think they sold both cars and got a different truck. And apparently are gonna fifth wheel around the world, or around the United States, not the world.
Yeah, but they haven't even started that. They're literally staying with her father.
Right, which she used to literally talk about how horrible of a person he was and how he was possibly inappropriate with her when she was a kid, and
but all lets of these her daughter things. Around him.
But yeah, lets her daughter around him and all of this. Well, obviously this week, like I said, lots of things happened, and it baffles me that people can sit there and someone's innocent life was taken and mock it and name call and all of these things, which is what she did. I have never been so happy not to have a family member in my life, because it's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong on so many levels. And like, one of my decisions that I've made, with everything, is that I'm going to be more open about my relationship with God. I'm not going to sit here and censor myself or bite my tongue or any of those things. But so, with my cousin and her husband, everything is twisted to fit their narrative. They get to draw their boundaries, but nobody else can draw their own. And if you don't adhere to their boundaries, then the whole world's going to end. But the moment that they step over one of yours, oh well, it doesn't matter. You're being too sensitive. You're being this. You're being that. And anything to add? No.
I think that kind of like wraps their little story up.
Yeah. You can always ask questions. I'm willing to answer questions and stuff. Obviously, we changed names because I just really didn't want to try and deal with people being like blah 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 blah. Kind of like Hotel Transylvania.
No, but if you do your research, you can find out who it is.
Oh, I'm not going there. Along that line, I have a sister who I mentioned earlier. We're gonna call her Cherry.
Cherry.
Okay, Cherry. And so my sister is 12 years older than I am. Okay, we have never had a good relationship. She has always been jealous of the relationship that I've had with my mother, or our mother, I guess. Yeah, our mom. And there were times throughout my life where we were closer than others. I'll put it that way, or I tolerated more than others, and I really tolerated more for my mother than I did for myself, because I can remember from a young age my sister trying to convince me that my mom lied about, how she was in the army and her rank and all of these things, and that she was just a big liar. And my sister has told herself things so much that she's actually distorted reality and has now created this false reality of, well, this is how things happened. Even though there's multiple accounts from multiple different people of, well, no, that's not what happened. Now, granted, everyone has their own perspective.
But sometimes facts are facts.
Facts are facts. But she's always been jealous. I think she's been divorced 5 times. It's like she's trying to fill a hole or a void.
I don't think she's married right now.
She's not currently married right now, but I think she's engaged to be married for,
I don't know. I think
the 6th time. I know they live together.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're just friends, because I've heard that they're just friends.
Well, I know at one point in time they were engaged because we were both engaged around the same time. So, but one of the things that drove me crazy is every time that I had something that she perceived was good or had an idea, she would try and copy it or take it.
Tattoo.
Yeah, so I had this tattoo. I was a huge Abby Shudo fan from NCIS. Okay, one of my favorite shows. And I was going to get the cross that she had on her back tattooed on my back, because I love me some tattoos. Okay. And a couple weeks later, my sister shows up with the tattoo on her back. But apparently, according to her, she had it picked out and stuff for months. And this was an original idea. I call bullshit. Okay?
I call bullshit ×2.
Yeah. But she's always played the victim. Everything that has happened in her life is everyone else's fault. She can never take any accountability. She can never acknowledge. She can never have a conversation. And like recently, her and our mom had been talking, and I was like, listen, like, I don't want to be a part of it. Like, if she wants to have a conversation with me and apologize for like the way that things went down, because I haven't talked to her in like 5 or 6 years, because apparently something about Christmas and her being here. And I'm like, yeah, I don't have any desire to be in her presence, or to allow her into my space or my children's space. And so our mom tried to have a conversation with her. That blew up like the freaking 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
And she texts my mom all this stuff, how she's just like the worst possible person in the world. And like, listen, my mom, wonderful person. Okay. Did she do everything perfectly? No, we never do. None of us do. Okay. We are all works in progress. And granted, there were things that I wish that she would have done differently when I was growing up, but nothing traumatizing, nothing life altering. No. At least not for me. But like I said, my sister has told herself that things have been a certain way for so long that she now believes it. And so, she has now been removed from any part of our circle. She, says it's better for her health that way. I will pray for her. But outside of that, I hope I never see her face again.
Well, I talked to her.
Yeah, you talked to her. What was that conversation like?
Trying to remember like what I said. I said something about how like taking accountability for one's actions is important and something like that. I don't know. She texted me a long paragraph and then like we went back and forth, not arguing, just like talking. And then that the next day, I think that's when she texted Nana and said that she was bringing me into it. And I had already told her like that was my choice. So then I texted her like that day that she texted Nana. I was like, this was 100% my choice. I was like, they tell me to like kind of mind my own business, like don't be involved in it. And I choose to be involved in like what I want to be involved in. Like it was my choice to add her on Facebook. It was my choice to send a message. It was no one else's doing but mine.
Well, I mean, not only that, she also called my aunt complaining about how my mom and I were, forcing my daughter in the middle of this and having her contact her. And like I said, she twists the narrative to fit, or she twists everything to fit her narrative.
Yeah.
And
but I would never be in a situation I don't want to be in.
no. And so our circle keeps getting smaller and smaller. And honestly, I'm not really complaining. I like our tight little knit circle and little bubble, our hula hoop.
Yeah.
But there's always drama that goes on. So what kind of drama you got going on at work? Huh?
Currently none.
Currently none. Okay. Well,
I just got a new job, so
yeah.
I actually like it.
Yeah. I recently started a new business. I guess some of my workplace drama is that I about a month ago, actually a little over a month ago now, I was quote unquote let go, told in a way of we need to part ways. Now, granted, I had been working for this company, we'll call them Balloon Realty, for 3.5 years, managing short-term rentals. Okay. In a very popular city close to us, where you can look up what the loofahs mean, and we'll leave it at that. And this person that I worked for in the beginning loved all of my ideas, was, like super gung-ho about me making decisions and changing things and all of this. And then as time went on, it was like I was no longer the shiny new toy. And anything that she perceived as negative was like a blow up. She'd yell at me on the phone. She'd be like, well, why did you do that? Well, because that's the policy. And following the policy that's in place, you can't just change it on a case by case basis. That's against federal fair housing. I'm a licensed broker in another state. Like, I understand these things. Or, hey, let's do X, Y, and Z to see if we can increase, occupancy or whatever. Okay, well, none of that actually integrates with our system. Or this is why, this is the feedback, or the things that I've read, research that I've done of it not being like productive. Well, she always saw that as pushback. So I was let go. Now, I had an inkling the day before, because she like blew up on me over the phone because I had decided to work from home that day, because it was right before school started and we had orientation. So I had like 3-4 hours of orientations between both the kids. And she was just so angry at the fact that I didn't get it approved by her, even though I had never had to have it approved by her before. And I very, very rarely, like maybe less than 5 times in the 3.5 years that I worked there, that I worked from home. And so I went and I cleaned out all of my personal items out of my office the day before. First thing in the morning, hands me a letter, says it's time for us to part ways. Now, I had also worked with some people in my office that were gonna we're gonna I'm gonna call them Lucifer's ladies. It's probably not the right terminology or names that I should give them, but we'll call them Mary and Summer, and um, we'll go with Nellie. Okay, and Nellie was my boss.
Wait, we're missing one.
No, I'm not including that one because I don't feel like that one played any kind of part.
Okay.
I feel like she has enough going on, and that
It's not the right thing to do.
I'm hoping that I'm right, and she was not in the know.
Okay.
Actually, two of them. But Mary and I had a really good working relationship. We had actually went out outside of work. I had also spent time with Summer outside of work. Um, but the day that I got fired, everyone quit communicating with me. Now, common sense dictates that they knew what was going on. But see, I had set things up while I was in this company. So the software I had set up from start to finish, right? Well, I find out in the way that I found out that Summer was now the point of contact for everyone. So essentially, she took over my job, which means that she would have had to have prior knowledge. And if she didn't, then she could have communicated that, and she really freaking didn't. So I may still be a little irritated, frustrated, something.
All the
Um,
emotions.
all of the things. I think it was really shady. I think that my boss is probably one of the worst people I ever worked for. Uncaring, doesn't try to build loyalty, doesn't try to build trust,
It's
is a
giving old hag.
yeah, and
A
you know,
witch.
dictatorship. Like it is,
Witch.
yeah. And the fact that this company has been running for so long, but I now understand why the turnover is so high. Um, but there's that, and I mean, I could go into previous workplaces and things like that, but I think that would take up a lot more time, and maybe we'll do a part two to this at some other point in time, um, to where we could talk about other dramas and things. But because of that, I have started my own um, business called Reclaim and Revive LLC, and so we're getting started, and I am trusting that God's got it all handled, because if not, then there's no hope. There's no hope for us. Um, but I know He's got us. Um, and I know that everyone has some kind of family drama or work drama in their life. Um, but I don't think I've ever felt so screwed over by two people that I worked with, three technically, um, than I did this time. Um, Especially because they all said, "Oh, well, I won't do your job. Oh, I won't do this if she asks. Oh, I won't, I won't, I won't."
Oh, and then the day before when you were saying goodbye.
Oh, yeah, and then when I said goodbye to all of them so that I could have a moment, them getting teary-eyed and saying, "No, it's not going to happen,"
Or like they'll still be a part of your life.
or they'd still be a part of my life,
Most
and
bullshit I ever heard.
it was so fake. It was so fake. And if it wasn't, and they, ever hear this, if it wasn't, then all you had to do was pick up the phone. All you had to do was call me. Be like, "Listen, I can't really answer questions, or I can't do this, or I can't do that." But no, they're letting fear control them, because my old boss is literally a narcissist, and control is all she knows, and she controls by fear. And to not have to walk on those eggshells anymore, most liberating experience. I actually sent her a text message, which I'll read to you guys, because I can abbreviate, or I can change wording if I need to. Um, but essentially, I said, "Dear Nellie, Thank you for the decision to part ways with me. As difficult as the situation was, I have to admit it's brought an unexpected sense of relief. The constant stress, the unpredictability, the weight of trying to manage both my responsibilities and your shifting expectations had become overwhelming. It's a strange thing to feel lighter after a job ends, but that's where I am. I no longer have to brace myself for the next difficult conversation or wonder which version of you I'll be dealing with on a given day. That speaks volumes. I gave everything I had to that department, my time, my energy, my heart. I cared deeply about the work and the people that I worked with. But that dedication was often met with dismissal, micromanagement, or condescension. It was disheartening to be treated as if my efforts didn't matter, or worse, as if I was a part of the problem when I was constantly trying to be part of the solution. You seem to equate control with leadership and fear with accountability. But true leadership involves trust, empathy, and consistency, none of which were meaningfully present. It's hard to thrive in an environment where differing opinions are treated as threats and where people feel they have to walk on eggshells just to keep the peace. I genuinely hope, for the sake of those still working under your leadership, that you take the time to reflect not only on how you lead, but on the culture you're helping to shape. People deserve better than fear based management masked as high standards. As someone who speaks openly about faith, I also hope you consider what it means to lead with integrity and compassion, values that should be reflected in action and not just in words. Wishing you exactly what you've earned. I did not get a response, but I didn't expect to get one. But that was my closure. That was me moving on. That was me, letting it go. And I've been told that I could probably sue for, wrongful termination. But, honestly, I don't really feel like that would change anything, anyways. And it would just
Add to the lawsuits.
add to the loss of my time or have to, you know, like be involved with her again. And I really don't want to do that because, God, it's been like the amount of stress I no longer have. And see, and I was on call like 24/7. There was an after hours emergency line that I had the majority of the time, if not all the time, if there was anyone else in the office that was actually trained to take it, which we didn't have anyone. I had someone who had come in shortly before I was let go, where we would alternate, but she wasn't even really trained for the most part on how to deal with scenarios, and I would still have to be involved. And I didn't fault her for that. And I really thought that like her and I would still communicate, but apparently Nellie got her claws.
Trapped in the web.
So, in her as well. And if you haven't gotten the reference yet, I named her Nellie because one of my shows growing up that I really liked was Little House on the Prairie, and Nellie was the bully, the main bully in the show, and so I thought the title was fitting.
I agree.
Yeah. So, but I no longer talk to anyone that I used to work with. And honestly, that's been easier than I thought it would. I mean, I still have concerns about one of the people that I worked with because her husband and stuff was really sick, and so I still care, but my communication is not welcomed, so I don't reach out. I did try to reach out, but
You care from a distance.
yep, I will care and pray from a distance, and I hope that they all can realize the damage that they've caused, but also the hurt and just the lack of respect. Um, but yeah, I guess that's really all that I need to say. I mean, if you want some more information about things that happened, I've got a TikTok that I posted, kind of like venting. It's also on YouTube, not through she said, but um,
Personal.
my personal one. um, but yeah, I mean that's really the DL for the
The
drama,
scoop. The tea.
the T, the mega T.
The mega tea.
You got any drama you want to share? Any previous work drama from your previous jobs?
They're all bitches. All of them.
Apparently, it's just gonna be my stories this week. She's very non-involved this week, kind of silent, and I think that probably just has to come from from how heavy this week's been.
And school.
And school and work and boyfriends.
Guys, my 3 years. Woo, it's on Wednesday. I'm excited.
Yep, they'll be together 3 years on Wednesday, and it's amazing seeing their relationship grow and change and turn into what it is, and that they also have God in it and value each other.
For to marry that man. For to marry him.
Eventually she'll whittle him down and he'll propose.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. So, well, we appreciate you hanging out and listening to the tea, to the drama, to the chaos. But we will be with you guys next week, same time, same place, same chaos. So we hope that you join.
Boy.
Bye.